So, story time. I asked for a new job, right, with my old boss right there. Yes, you might be thinking, what the heck? How did you even get in this position? Me too. So, let me tell you how I got into this uncomfortable position. To understand, you have to have some background knowledge on my past job and why I wanted a different job. So, I worked at Subway my senior year of high school and the summer after that. Ultimately, I had to quit because I was leaving for college and it was out of state. So, fast forward to April. While I was still on campus, the former Subway boss texted me out of the blue and asked me if I wanted to work with her this summer. I declined because my original plan was to get a summer job on campus with free housing. However, I missed the deadline for that, so it meant I was going to be back home for the summer. I most definitely didn't want to work under her reign again, so I decided to apply for a new job. I chose a Dollar Tree because back when I was 17 and choosing my first ever job, I was thinking of either working at Subway or as a Dollar Tree stalker, the people who stock the merchandise and stuff, and Subway won. But now that I'm back and I don't want to go back to Subway, I wanted to go to my second choice. So let's skip to May, which is when the story takes place. I was already on summer vacation and I had been home for a good week or two. I applied online for a job at the Dollar Tree a few days after I got home. I hadn't heard back in a week, so I decided to pull up in person and see what's up. And let's say that once I got there in person to ask about the status of my application, I had a series of unfortunate events. First thing, the line was long. There was only one cashier up front. My mom would have told me to skip the line and ask my question, which in hindsight I should have done because, I wasn't going to buy anything. I only wanted to ask the question. I didn't skip the line because there was a bunch of people and I was scared that they were going to come after me with pitchforks like in that SpongeBob episode. And I had time. It's summertime. I don't have any more schoolwork. I don't have work. So I was taking advantage of my alone time and being outside of the house. I got in line without any items to purchase. My former Subway boss was in line. I didn't notice her. The first spot in line and where I was standing, I didn't even see her initially. I noticed her, or rather, we noticed each other when the second cashier opened up her line. We locked eyes. Heck, she might have saw me first. But I waved first and she waved back. She was with her husband. I wasn't worried because there were about 4 people between us. So I was thinking, ain't no way that she's still gonna be there by the time I get up front. But also, she didn't have any items. This is relevant because then the 2 lines were divided based on how many items the customer had, and you couldn't pick and choose. The first cashier was shot firing questions, asking people how many items they had, and sending those with a lot of stuff to the second cashier. So despite there initially being about 4 people between me and my former boss, I ended up right behind her. We greeted each other. I was almost hoping that she would ask me more questions like what I was doing here if I said I was going to be on campus for the summer. Of course, the one time I want her to be nosy, she isn't. So my mind was running through different scenarios, like how I will discreetly ask for the job without her overhearing. I'm thinking, since she's ahead of me, she would most likely still hear me ask as she's grabbing her items and leaving. But anyway, she thought I didn't really have anything, so she let me go ahead of her. That's when my heart started to race because that meant I was up next, and there was no doubt that she was going to hear me ask about the job. Now, a normal person would have pretended to buy something or even walk out of line. Anything but ask for a job with your former boss right behind them. I just want to say, I'm not the best at social cues. I picked up the social cues, but I didn't grasp them. I can be an NPC at times, not realizing that I can speak out of dialogue. But I feel like awareness is the first step. The out of dialogue options, which in this case was to purchase something or leave, or sometimes at the absolute back of my mind. Like, I'm aware that it's an option, it's just not strong enough for me to actually act upon it. However, I strongly believe that if it had been my higher ups for my previous campus dining hall job, I would have grabbed the social cues and not asked about the job in front of them. So once I got to the front of the line without any purchases and asked my question, the cashier told me I didn't even have to wait in line. But then she told me when the hiring manager would be working and to call between that time. Oh, okay. I thanked the cashier and left without looking back. I know the former boss felt betrayed. She was probably talking about it with her husband. But in my head, it made sense. If I had gotten out of line, avoided asking about the job while she was still in the store, it would mean that once I started working there, I would constantly look at everyone who walks in the door, hoping that I don't ever see her here again. So I either break the news now or later, and I thought I was being a big girl. I didn't want to squander more precious time. I waited for a while in line. I was showing courage. She's not gonna hurt me, or at least not physically. You see, my parents would have gotten on my kids for not wanting to ask a question. In the past, I was quieter than I am now. I was like a quiet kid. So, in the past, I tell them that I was scared to ask a question for whatever reason, and then they'd ask me, are they going to eat you? Or are they going to hurt you? Oh God, I'll be so annoyed. So when I was telling them the story and they were getting that secondhand embarrassment, I was like, aren't y'all the people that wanted me to speak up and not be scared of people? They were all like, you what? And told me what they would have done. Like, where's their shame, dignity, humility? I cracked jokes. I mean, what else could I do? If the hiring manager was a cashier, I could have said my reference is right behind me. Top courageous moment. Also, I never considered an outcome where I wouldn't be working there. There's this year-round hiring sign on the door. There's always either one or two cashiers, and they be backed up sometimes. I see boxes with items that need to be stocked. And that same day, I saw the other Subway manager. I was walking past Subway to get to another store, and since it wasn't busy, she was just standing at the door menacingly. I'm kidding. She and my former boss are close friends, so I thought that maybe she had already heard the scoop. But probably not yet, because she was telling her husband what happened and all that. But we spoke. I told her, like, what's up, and I hope that she relayed the message. I wasn't lying about the on-campus job, that I wanted to try something new, and she was chill about it. She expressed the empathy at the right times, and she said that if things didn't work out, I was always welcome to come back. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Haha. My pride will not let me come back. So all this embarrassment just to not even choose the job. I was already losing interest because I had to call a few times on different days before I could finally get a hold of the manager, and I didn't like being played around like a basketball. The only position available was stocking, which was what I wanted, right? However, that was from 4 to 9 a.m. and like between 1 to 3 days a week. Didn't even choose the job after all of that. So what do y'all have done in my scenario? What are your thoughts on what I did? I for real read comments, so definitely comment your thoughts and drop a like, bring me dopamine.